Hi everybody, I am here to make a quick video to show you how to float your zero in a line graph in Microsoft Excel. A lot of people, when they try to do this, end up finding a recommendation that has them drawing a square shape and dropping into their graph and making the square white so that it masks, some part of their y-axis that maybe they don't want displayed. And that's a fine solution, but it's not very elegant. And if you move your graph, then you have to also move the shape. And so I'm going to show you a way that Excel allows you to do this that will make the change permanent, not something you have to worry about playing around with these shapes. And so first, you can see we have a graph here. If you're not familiar with floating zeros, we do this when we have data points that touch the x-axis because our x and y-axis meet at 0. So these data points are reflecting a value of 0, and because that's where our x and y-axis meet, they're sitting right on top of that x-axis. And we would prefer it if they were bumped up a little bit, our x and y-axis meeting at a value less than 0, so that we were able to more clearly see these data points. And so that's all we're looking to do, just shift the value at which our x and y axis points meet to a value slightly below 0 while keeping our graph looking very clean. And so what I'm going to do first is to click on the y-axis, which will open up the format axis box, and you can see we're in axis options here. And so you'll click on the three little bar graph symbol, meaning axis options. You'll click on axis options, make sure you're in the right spot. It should look like this. And what we're going to do first is change our bounds. So the values, the range of our y-axis is currently at 0 to 4. We're going to put it just below 0, so 0.5. And I'll hit enter to show you what that does. You can see our y-axis has changed a little bit, but now it does go down to negative 0.5. So even though the x-axis looks like it has shifted up, our data have shifted up along with it, which is not our intended effect. So we're going to make another change. You can see 0 has disappeared from our y-axis, and that's not what we want. So we're going to change our units from 1 to 0.5 also. So when I hit enter here, you'll see those missing values come back on the y-axis. So there they are. And then what we are missing, or is floating the data points off of the x-axis. So that's this next box where it says horizontal axis crosses. Currently says 0. We're going to bump that down to negative 0.5 as well to match our minimum value. And so when we do this, you can see there our data are finally floating. The 0 is floating, right? You can see the data points have moved up off of the x-axis. We've kept our range intact from negative 0.5 to 4. And we can see 0 clearly on the y-axis. It's just no longer where the two axes meet, right? They're meeting at negative 0.5. And so the only problem with this is that we're left with that negative 0.5 value on the y-axis, which is not ideal. And so what we do for this is like the one step maybe we're missing if you're using those boxes. People drop a shape over that and color it white and just call it a day. But I'll show you just one other way to do this. It's pretty simple. I think, I use it instead of the box. But it takes a little bit of syntax to remember. So you'll click on number in your axis options, and where it says category, instead of general, you're going to pick custom because you're going to tell it to do something different. And here we're just formatting the numbers that are displayed on our y-axis. And where it says format code, we're going to erase what's there, and we're going to put open bracket, less than 0, close bracket, double quotation marks, telling it anything less than 0, put nothing. And then we're going to hit add. And you can see what that's done is erase that negative 0.5. We now have our 0 sitting above the x-axis. What we can also do is put our tick marks, which I haven't yet. So there they are. And so this graph is finished. We now have our floating 0 with no need for a shape to drop in.